Here's where it's going to get interesting, if you hadn't thought that it has already. We're back at Genesis 49, verse 22, basically where we began. And we started to go into this talk about this well. And I'm going to read again so that we understand what we're talking about. Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well, whose branches run over the wall. All right, we're finding out the well has strengthened them. Okay? Now, what is the well? What is the well that has strengthened them? Well, we're seeing what the well is that strengthened them. It's called ENKI, or Ea, whose home is water. Ea is ENKI, and it literally means whose home is water. In other words, ENKI is this well. Leviathan is this well. Remember I told you that this just doesn't represent the demigods. It represents the fallen prince of this world, ENKI, who is Leviathan. Okay? ENKI is the well. There's the water serpent signifying the well. And then remember the book of Enoch, where we got Leviathan perched over these life-giving waters that are on this world, which is really, in a sense, trying to block that message of Jesus Christ, that living gospel. So watch this. I'm going to show you here what the definition is for apsu. And then keep in mind what we read here in verse 22, as it's associated with what we've learned here about Ephraim and Manasseh being these unicorns. I want you to notice that we see these Israelite symbolized northern kingdom unicorns, which are going directly to the root of the Sumerian Annunaki. So we see these Egyptian Israelites now being connected to this ancient Mesopotamian Sumerian Annunaki, okay, which are going to be the bulls. And then we see who the chief bull is, which is Leviathan, the water dragon. That's the well. Keep verse 22 in mind, that they've become fruitful by this well. Now the well is going to be the apsu, because we're talking about Ea, remember? Remember, on his shoulders the water is coming out, which symbolizes him as ENKI, or Ea. It's two titles that mean the same thing. He whose home is water, or Lord of the flowing waters. In other words, Leviathan, the Antichrist. Trying to make this completely easy to understand. Apsu, this is in the Sumerian translations, okay? What it means concerning the Annunaki. Domain of sweet fresh water, beneath the earth, home of Ea, and of the seven sages, name of Ea's temple in Eridu, husband of Tiamat, father of the primeval gods. There's a lot of information there. They're saying that the Apsu is the literal male counterpart of Tiamat, which is going to be the female counterpart of these gods of chaos, the ancient gods, the same gods that we're talking about, Lucifer, Satan, and the devil. But we see different personifications philosophically between this place and this depth of knowledge, and then, of course, this material realm, the earth, Tiamat, which they themselves rule over. Apsu is a domain of sweet fresh water beneath the earth. Now, a well is a domain of sweet water, or clean water, supposed to be, below the earth. A fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well. Now we see ENKI, Ea, whose home is water, who is the one who Israel, false Israel, has gotten all their blessings from. This is that God of the earth as it's been interjected into the Bible, as we see it, and it's directly relating it back to the Sumerian deities. Now it's going right past the Egyptian deities, because the Egyptian deities are just the same deities as the earlier Sumerian deities, but they are just revered with different names in a different land, but yet their symbolism is all the same. And then eventually, by the time we come up to the Hebrews, who are after both of these civilizations respectively, they begin to retain in their historical records the earlier records of Babylon, of which they were captive in, and Egypt, and even on down to Samaria. I'll be back.